Rochelle at the Athlete Center. This video is going over a hip switch, a hip shift. So basically the ability for us to load into our hip, so load our weight, our body weight into our hip joint, our hip socket. It allows for the back of our hip, the posterior area of our hip to open up. So if you feel maybe that you've got pain or pinching in the front or tightness in the back, this can be good for those things. It can be good for increasing sport performance and speed, the ability to change direction. So we're gonna start off half kneeling, and in this case, we're gonna be focusing on this hip. So the ability for my femur to move backwards within that joint. So the ball moving backwards in the socket. So this would be the socket where my pelvis is, the ability for this to get back into there to allow this to open up and give me full range of motion of the hip and the ability to load into it. So I would start really by leveling my hips, finding this place where my pelvis can be underneath my rib cage. And then we're trying to create this backward slide on this side with a little bit of forward counter rotation of the pelvis on the other side. So as I pull the femur back, the pelvis is gonna allow it to move back, so accept it. So this side of my pelvis will move backwards, posteriorly, and this one will move forwards. So my pelvis will have a little bit of rotation towards the side that I'm trying to load. So it'll look like this. So I have a little bit facing this way, and as I go through that full range, my hips are now facing this way. So from the back, if I'm pulling this hip back into the socket, I'm gonna focus on the rotation of the hips in this direction. And my pelvis rotates, in this case, to the left, allowing this space to open. So where my hands are, as I go through the range, the distance between them will increase. And that allows for the femur to slide backwards in the socket. And I'm trying to get as much range of motion as I can through the hip complex, hip and pelvis, not going as far as I can with the hip and then rotating with the back. Not that that's a bad thing, that's just not the focus of this specific move. So our hip shift, pelvis over rib cage, and then it's almost like a cross-country ski or a train track. One side comes forward as the other goes back, and we're pivoting around our central spinal column, loading into this hip.